listener of the Creepy Kingdom Podcast Network. It is I, James, and bringing you something a little different, a little something special here. It's not a full episode by any means, but I wanted to let you guys know about something that we just released on our Patreon. And I wanted to give you a little preview of it so you guys could get a taste of what is waiting for you on the other side of the castle walls, I guess. So last month, we had debuted for the first time online our documentary about Haunted Mansion fans, Foolish Mortals, exclusively in our Patreon. Thank you to everyone that signed up to check it out. We deeply appreciate the support. It's still there if you have not done it yet and still would like to watch the film. And one of the things we said once we put the film in there is that every month we would be releasing an entire interview from Foolish Mortals. And we are starting off with a bang. We're starting off with the entire full interview with Disney Legend Rolly Crump. So right now we're going to play for you a little clip of that interview. And if you like what you hear, and I don't understand why you wouldn't, because it's Rolly Crump. If you're listening to this podcast network, come on. Anyways, after you check this out, we have the entire interview up. We'll have it up in video form if you'd like to watch the video. We'll also have it in audio form so you can consume it just like a podcast, especially if you have the Patreon app on your phone. Then you can just listen to it just like you're listening to this right now. Of course, the place to find this is patreon.com/Creepy Kingdom. But for now, enjoy this clip of me talking to Disney legend Rolly Crump.
The interesting thing about it is once I was working for Disney, they had a few layoffs and they laid me off down to where I could barely afford to work there. So I went out and tried to get a job as a milkman because I heard milkmen made $100 a week. So I went there and I applied at Ador, and they said, "Oh, sorry, do you have any experience?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Well, we can't hire you." And I said, "Well, where the hell do you get the experience?"
Right.
You know, it was one of those things. So anyway, it was very simple.
At what point did you get laid off working at Disney that you had to do that? Like what?
It was when they cut me back. First, in other words, when you went in between a breakdown and assistant, they gave you a raise. And so I got up to where I was an assistant. Then after the film was over, they let an awful lot of people go. And luckily they didn't let me go. But I was cut back and cut back and cut back. And so my salary was really cut back to where I just said, no, I can't work here. So I eventually did leave and work in construction for 6 months. And they finally called me back when the Mickey Mouse Club came about. They were starting a whole bunch of new animation that's going to be in the Mickey Mouse Club. So they asked me if I'd come back, and they said, we'll bring you back as an assistant. And I said, I'll be there. So that was it.
Oh, so you got laid off, and then they brought you back, so you didn't have to really do anything.
Yeah, I tried to get a leave of absence, but they wouldn't do that. They laid me off instead. So anyway, it was a fun time.
So let's talk about the Museum of the Weird and how it eventually became the Haunted Mansion.
Well, basically, when they started the Haunted Mansion, I was actually asked to work on it years before. Walt got Gail Gracie and myself, another gentleman I worked with, and put us together and said, I want to build a Haunted Mansion. I want you guys to come up with some ideas. So we worked on it for about a year. Yale came up with all the illusions during that time frame. I came up with some little ideas. I came up with the idea of the seance room and some of the things. So we were working as a team. And we did that. And then there was a World's Fair break from working on anything at the studio at that time because we were working at the fair. And when we came back, they had not given us any assignments. And I was always bothered that I felt that the Haunted Mansion didn't have anything weird in it. It was always real straight arrow. You know, it was the cat and the canary type of stuff. And there'd been a film I'd seen called Beauty and the Beast that was a French film. And in the French film, the beast lived in a castle. And in his castle, there was human faces over the fireplaces that opened up and steam would come out of their mouths. The halls walking to that through the castle had human arms holding torches. And I just felt that that's what stuff like that should be in the mansion. So then I started sketching all of my Museum of the Weird stuff and just having a good time, just thinking there should be some stuff in the mansion that is really different and strange. And we had a meeting with Walt one day, and I presented it. And he kept saying, but how are you going to use it, Rolly? And I said, I don't know. And he said, well, what's it for? And I said, I don't know. I just kept telling him the same thing, that I felt that the mansion needed something unusual and different. So he went home and came back the next morning, was sitting at my desk at 7 o'clock and said, you son of a bitch. And I said, whoa, what's that? And he said, I didn't get a good night's sleep because of what you told me and showed me yesterday. So he said, I thought about it all night long. And he says, what we'll do, he says, we'll do a Museum of the Weird. And he says, Rolly, you can design whatever you want that's weird and put it into that museum. I said, great. So that would have taken place if Walt had lived, but Walt passed away shortly after that, so it never went any further.
But some of those ideas did make it into the mansion in some way, right?
No.
Oh, none of those ideas did.
What do you mean?
Some of the concepts from Museum of the Weird.
Yeah.
They didn't end up in the mansion, like the.
No, nothing ended up in the mansion.
Oh.
Not at all, which is kind of sad. And there's politics behind that. No, really. Nobody else liked the museum but Walt. And when Walt was gone, that was it.
That was it?
Yeah.
Wow. Well. So, while you were working on this, you were on the television special of
Yes, I was.
Color.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me about that experience?
Well, that was great. You know, it was great working with Walt on TV. I was in a couple of shows with him, and he always made you feel very relaxed, and so there was nothing weird about it or strange. You were only on him for a minute or two. You know, you weren't there very long with him, but yeah. But he was a delight to work with. I just loved him.
Okay, and that scenario, was that really where you were working, or was that like a stage setup?
What do you mean?
Because on the show, he comes by and he sees you working on a model.
That was a model of the Museum of the Weird that I was working on, yeah.
Was that where you actually worked, or was that on a stage?
Oh, no, that was a sound stage.
Oh, okay.
They built a sound stage and put a fake wet in it, and we had always have it inside the sound stage.
Okay, did you do that because it looked better than the actual office?
No, not really. They duplicated the office.
Oh, really?
Yeah, They made it look exactly like the way we worked. But just the way they had it set up and everything, and the way they wanted to move the cameras around, they made it simpler, you know.
Okay, probably didn't want to disrupt actual work.
No, we didn't work in that in those areas. We had our own building.